What's going on, y'all? Living out there in America land and beyond, maybe. It's Saturday night. It is the 6th of September, and I'm not doing a full show tonight. I'm just kind of hanging out, not really up to a whole lot. I did get a bunch of posts from different members of Congress, mostly Democrats. I figured I would read them and kind of have some fun with them. But yeah, it was a busy, tiring day for me. Still don't have air conditioning. The central AC went out. Not yesterday, but the Friday before. So I'm on day number 8 without central air in St. Petersburg, Florida, during probably the second hottest month of the year. But that's all right. It's actually not too bad. I got a window AC unit in the living room, so it's it's at least keeping one room cool. So if I get hot, which I really haven't, I mean, I've been able to tolerate the heat actually pretty well. So, but spend time outdoors today, cutting the grass and everything. But before that, I did some work on the AC. I replaced the transformer because it kept tripping, and the HVAC unit was installed in 1996, so it's kind of old. The same with the outdoor AC unit, kind of old. Same year it was installed. It's like, you know, the complete unit as they usually are. So I replaced the transformer because I thought it went bad. And this morning I got down into the outdoor AC unit, tested the capacitor and the compressor with the multimeter, and both are good. And I did find a cable that had some exposed wire from the insulation, so I fixed that up. Then I turned on the AC again and let 5 seconds go by, and it kicked off again. I just shut off the transformers, the fuse, not the fuse, but the breaker, the built-in breaker inside the transformer. It tripped again. So I didn't fix the problem. Honestly, I think it's the thermostat. The thermostat was put in around 2005, maybe 2006. So it's basically 20 years old. So I'm thinking it's probably the thermostat. I know I can bypass it, and I was going to do it, but I just decided just to, you know, just buy a new one. So I bought a new one. It'll be here tomorrow. So I think I can muscle through one more day of no AC. I can sleep through one more night. Hell, I've already been through 7, so what's one more? So anyway, I was up to that today, and yeah, that's about it. The Powerball, man, it's up to like $1.7 billion. I just saw that today, so I bought me 2 Powerball tickets. Also bought me a Cash for Life ticket, because, I don't know, you never know. And the Florida Lotto, man. Dude, the Florida Lotto is like up to like, what was it at? Hold on. I think it's over 30 million, I think, which is not normal. It's not often that the state lottery, at least in this state, goes up that high. What the hell is this? The fuck is that? Die Young montage. The fuck is this? Fortnite. I don't play fucking video games. What the hell is this shit? All right. Well, I'm off to a good start already. Well, let's see if I can do this. If I can just bring this in. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. Well, at least I got that going. I got my bookmarks, got my posts all up and ready. This is from earlier. I think last night's episode, actually. Oh, maybe that's it. Hold on. That's what it was. I was putting in the wrong freaking URL. Oh, 1.8 billion. Holy smokes, dude. The drawing's tonight. So by the time you hear this, it's probably going to be too late. That's okay, though. I got mine. I got my ticket. What is it, like 1 in like 270 million chance of winning? I mean, I did the math one time, because your odds of getting struck by lightning is somewhere like 1 in 5 or maybe like 1 in 10,000, like across one's lifetime. And your odds of getting struck by lightning is like thousands of times more likely than winning the Powerball. There's a lot of those stupid, silly statistics when it comes to your odds on doing a multitude of other things, insane things happening in your lifetime. You're probably more likely to get struck like by lightning like 10 different times in your life than you are to win the Powerball. Anyway, it's up to 31.5 million. The Florida Lotto, 31.5. That is a very high number for our state lotto. It almost never gets up that high. And that tells me it's probably been like 5 or 6 months since anybody's hit it. It's been rolling over probably for at least for half the year, if not longer than that. So anyway, just chilling, just killing time. Saturday night, I'm bored. So I was going through posts, tweets, whatever you want to call them, from mostly Democrats. They're not all Democrats. I got a few from Republicans, but I was just looking through them. They were all from today. Actually, I think this one's the oldest one, is 7 hours ago. So from Rep. Gwen Moore, posted at 2:17 p.m. today, September 6th, 2025. It's been a month since historic flooding hit southeastern Wisconsin, and I'm calling on President Trump to swiftly approve the disaster declaration so we can get help on the ground for the folks that need it. Now, if it's really that bad, if it only affected a couple of neighborhoods, then you're probably not going to get the disaster declaration. But if an entire city was flooded out, probably would be good to get federal funding, I suppose, at least when it comes to other natural disaster situations. I remember here where I live, about 10 years ago, we had this insane rain event. So every summer we get the rainy season. It lasts for 4 months. Well, we had some weird, ungodly weather pattern that opened up just for one day, and this was in Pasco County. It's the county just north of Clearwater, St. Pete, Pinellas County. And they got something like 14 inches of rain in something like 5 hours, and it flooded the hell out of this area in Pasco County, and they were underwater for like 2-3 days. Flooded out houses and everything. It was just like this once in a lifetime flood event that occurred in that area. Well, they applied for the same thing. They tried to get FEMA assistance, federal assistance, and they were denied. They were outright denied, and that was back during the Obama era. So because the reason I think that it was denied was because it was too localized. It wasn't widespread, like across the whole county or anything like that. It was, I think it might have been too local to have qualified. But they were applying for like 2 months, 2-3 months. And then the federal government finally came out and said, no, can't do it. No, you got to appeal to your state or have the state take care of it. So anyway, yeah, so she's calling on Trump to approve the disaster declaration. So she's asking Trump for a favor. She's asking Trump to help her out. Americans are paying the price for Donald Trump's reckless economic mismanagement. Okay, so Trump is reckless, according to her. American economy. No mention of Trump there, so that's not going to hold that one against her. And she reposted, President Donald Trump, my fellow Americans, get ready for an incredible future because the golden age of America has only just begun. President Donald Trump. So I'm assuming she's in support of that because she reposted it. So I guess she's all about Trump on September 4th, at least. Let's see. That's RFK Jr. That was a banger, man. He really held his own in that committee hearing. He absolutely eviscerated the Democrats. That was fun. I made a video on that if you want to check that out. That was quite enjoyable. I mean, I'm sure RFK wasn't having any fun. I'm sure that was absolutely miserable. Republicans' one big beautiful bill is so unpopular they're being instructed by Donald Trump to start calling it the Working Families Tax Plan. Yes, that is true. I thought rebranding is woke. I mean, she's got a fair point there. I mean, that is what they say. I guess, yeah, I wouldn't even really say it depends on it. I think for the most part that, I don't know about exclusively woke. But yeah, they are trying to do that. And I mentioned that either yesterday or maybe the day before. And my opinion is it isn't going to really, it might take after a while, maybe in the way that Twitter transformed over or transitioned over to X. I'm still slipping up from time to time. I mean, anybody who's been on the platform for a long time, it's pretty hard to get used to calling it X and calling these posts and not tweets. It's a lot easier to say tweet than post. Anyway, I think that Americans, when they see this Working Families Tax Plan, I think what they're going to do is assume that it's a completely different bill. It's not in any way related to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Anyway, for the first time since the last Trump administration, there are more unemployed Americans than job openings. Call it the Trump effect. So that's another jab at Trump. Let's see. After years spent campaigning on releasing the Epstein files, now with the trifecta, Trump and Republican leadership are doing everything possible to keep them out of the public eye. Feel free to form your own conclusions. Another jab at Trump. Now she's taking a jab at Trump's son. Show us all the Epstein client list now. Hey, I agree. That was back in 2023. Man, she really dug back into history for that one. Donald Trump is the most anti-worker president in history. From tax giveaways to CEOs and billionaires to gutting workers' rights, he puts those at the top first. I don't know, man. I would not expect to get a call from President Trump anytime soon. You might want to appeal to some of the Republican lawmakers in your state. Maybe they might be able to get something done because they're probably not going to, Trump's probably not going to answer her call. At least I wouldn't think so. Just let me go ahead and size this up a little bit. I forgot to move it. Forgot to move it. All right, there we are. A little bit better. Moving. Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. Trump's immigration raids and deportations are tearing families apart. He's going after hardworking people and people trying to go through the legal process. It's wrong. Well, don't be a criminal. If you're not a criminal, you got nothing to worry about. You're not going to be torn away from your family, as she put it, if you're not a criminal. Happens to American criminals all the time. And if you're an illegal immigrant, you are a criminal. That's what you are. If you break the law in America, you go to jail. And in their case, if you're a criminal illegal or even just some everyday illegal immigrant that hasn't broken any American crimes outside of entering the country illegally, you still broke the law. So, and besides, the Trump administration's already been crystal clear with this. If someone is getting deported and they have a family here, they can go too. And the Trump administration's already said that they will pay for all their plane tickets to go back with the person that they're deporting. So it's not like they're just yanking him out of the family and just sending him away and saying, no, you're not allowed to go with him. We're going to be extra evil to your family. It's not how it's going at all. Go with him. And the American government will pay for your plane ticket. Martin Heinrich, the scam of the century, is a president who tells you he will lower your electricity bills while actually making them skyrocket by cutting the cheapest energy on the grid. The cheapest energy on the grid. That is hilarious. Trump blames renewable energy for rising electricity prices. Well, it's true. Experts point elsewhere. Trump called wind and solar the scam of the century. Yeah, I mean, it is. There are some times of the day when the wind doesn't blow. I think there's at least a couple hours of the day where the sun doesn't shine. And what do you do when neither of those things happen? You have to rely on what? Batteries. You have to rely on backup power. Redundancy. You got to rely on that. Matter of fact, I probably should open a new window. Fuck. Whatever. I'll go back. I'll get back to it. I did ask this to Grok. Man, dude, why is my shit so slow today, man? Renewable energy versus traditional power costs. And I asked, would a city that is fully powered with wind and solar with battery redundancy have better electric rates, or a city fully running on nuclear and coal? And Grok said a city powered by wind, solar, and battery storage would likely have higher electric rates than one running on nuclear and coal due to the higher upfront costs and intermittency challenges of renewables. All the renewables have just that. They can't get around that. If they try to figure out the geothermal energy, if they're able to produce electricity somehow using geothermal heat, that's a whole nother thing, because geothermal heat's always there. So if they can figure that out, then hey, I might climb on board the whole renewable thing, jump on the clean energy train or the renewable energy train, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Then yeah, I'll get on board with that. But other than that, yeah, I mean, nope, not going to get on board with wind and solar. Like Trump said, in my opinion, it's a big scam because it costs more money. It doesn't lower people's electricity costs, it raises them. But anyway, intermittency challenges of renewables despite lower fuel costs. Nuclear and coal provide stable, low-cost baseload power, though environmental and regulatory costs can vary. Well, the Trump administration is already rolling back tons of regulations when it comes to energy. So, yeah, I guess that kind of sort of just a little bit debunks that post that he made. Senator Mazie Hirono, since Republicans signed their big ugly bill into law, grocery and energy bills have skyrocketed and millions are at risk of losing their health care and food assistance. Republicans sold out your opportunity to live the American dream so the top 1% could get richer. Now, I prefer, whenever I Google something, I prefer to open up a private window, because I don't want Google to lean on me one way or another. I still think that Google's biased, in my opinion. I think a lot of people share that opinion. So if you ask Google a question like that, have grocery bills skyrocketed, Google's probably going to give you a left-leaning answer. However, if you're not signed into Google, Google doesn't know your history, maybe they might give you a little bit more of an honest answer. I'm not so sure. So let's see. Go ahead and plug this in and see what it comes up as, or see what it comes up. That is what she said, right? The one big beautiful bill, the one big ugly bill. Sorry, my bad. Since they signed their big ugly bill into law, that was on July 4th of 2025. That's when it was signed into law. Reports indicate that both energy and grocery bills have continued to climb since July 2025, though the rate and reasons differ for each. Tariffs, weather, and rising energy demands are key factors driving the increases. Yeah, energy demands are going up well, I'm not sure if they've brought this AI infrastructure online yet. It's going to come online in a big way over the next few years. Although I'm sure places like, I don't know if it's X or if it's Tesla. I'm assuming it's probably X with regard to Elon Musk's big AI ventures, because he's building AI data centers. The same with Apple, Google, Microsoft, everybody else. Amazon's probably building them out because they have an internet provider infrastructure too. And building out all of those services, those highly taxing pieces of infrastructure, it's going to weigh down on our electric grid. And when our federal government hasn't been building any nuclear facilities, they haven't been building any hydroelectric facilities, they sure as hell haven't been building any coal power plants. I'm sure that our federal government hasn't really built any legacy energy infrastructure over the last, 10 years, 20 years, maybe even longer than 20 years. The only thing that they have been building out is renewables, which is expensive, very expensive, especially when you have to store that shit in batteries. You got to replace the batteries every 10 to 15 years. And I'm sure those aren't cheap. We know this because batteries for EVs, they run between $15,000 to $25,000 for a battery for your EV. And sometimes they're even more expensive than that. There was a case of somebody in Canada who bought one of those new Hyundai EVs, and he ran over an object on the road. It was like a stick or a fairly decent sized rock or something like that. But anyway, it dented the covering underneath the car where the battery's located. So they took it in and they said that the battery has to get replaced because the dent on the cover caused a very tiny little nick on the battery itself. And they said that it's now unsafe. And because you hit that object in the road, the warranty's not going to cover it. And I don't know about the whole insurance thing or whatever, but anyway, they billed him over $50,000 just for the fucking battery. And the reason that they gave was because there's an extremely short supply in those batteries. Therefore, there's a higher demand in them at this particular time. And that's why we're going to have to charge you 50 grand. And his car, brand new, was either exactly that or it was very slightly under that. And since it's now a used vehicle, obviously the battery is far more expensive than the car. So it's basically a total out car. That's in Canada. But if you want to know why our car insurance, well, one of the main reasons why car insurance has gone up so much over the last few years is because of electric vehicles, because they're extremely expensive to fix if they either got into a fender bender or if there is a battery problem. And I don't even think that any insurance companies would cover battery replacement. I wouldn't think, but maybe they do. But yeah, that's the reason. They're really expensive to fix. So anyway, grocery bills, while the consumer price index for groceries, food at home, saw only a 0.1 month-over-month increase from June to July 2025. Prices were 2.2% higher in July 2025 than July of 2024. Some grocery categories have seen more significant hikes. Wholesale vegetables spiked by 38.9% compared to the previous year. Uncertain implications. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with the one big ugly bill. Specific products, eggs, coffee, meat, poultry, risen over the last year. Coffee up 14.5%, eggs up 16.4% as of July 2025. Look, probably my number one guilty pleasure that I have is the fact that I do drink store-bought whole bean French roast Starbucks coffee. I don't pay retail. Right now, it's like $12.50 for a 12-ounce bag of that shit in the grocery store. If you go to Sam's Club or Costco, it is a lot cheaper, but I don't have a whole bunch of kids. I don't have a big family, so there's no point in me even going to either one of those places. So I just get them when it's on sale. Every 2 months, 3 months, it'll drop from $12.50 down to like $7 at the lowest. And when it drops to that amount, I'll buy like 10 bags of it, and I'm good for like 6-7 months. So that's how I get around paying the 14.5% increase in coffee. Eggs are up 16.4%. That's a big scam. Definitely a big scam because the supply of eggs never went down. Not even during the quote-unquote egg shortage that happened either earlier this year or last year. Remember when eggs went up to like $10 a carton? It was a big scam. And those big three egg companies are supposed to be getting investigated by the feds right now. Because, yeah, they were price gouging. Anyway, yeah, I'm not really seeing anything all that substantial. Of course, dude, ever since COVID happened, there's always going to be something that spikes here and spikes there because it just makes it easier for these big companies to use that as an excuse. Not COVID, not using COVID as an excuse, but they're just market conditions. That's why we have to jack up coffee that much. No, but realistically, coffee went up not because of the Trump tariffs. It's not because of the one big beautiful bill. It's because in regions, I think mostly in Brazil, they've dealt with a pretty severe drought over the last year. That's why coffee's gone up. And I wonder if Google will be honest with me if I ask them why. Oh shit, why the fuck does it do that, man? Can you tell I gotta look at my keyboard when I type? Why has coffee gone up 14%? Why? Why? New tariffs. That ain't real. That's not true. Particularly 50%. Oh, uh-oh. All right, maybe I'll give the benefit of the doubt. Particularly a 50% tariff on Brazilian beans, ongoing supply shortages from climate-related issues. Uh-oh. And labor shortages. Climate-related issues. It's a drought. That's the real reason. The political reason is because, well, Trump's big, bad, evil, ugly tariffs. Climate change. Oh, no, I'm not going to read fucking climate change bullshit. I ain't going there. Let me go back. These combined pressures on supply and increased costs at the farm level are forcing businesses and retailers to raise prices for consumers. Now, see if I ask Grok, it would be just straight up, and it'd be straight up with me. But I can't go to Grok every single time because people would feel some kind of way about it. Like, why you keep going to Grok all the time? What, you want to suck Grok's dick or something? Why you got to keep going over there and asking Grok? Why don't you go show Google some love? I don't know. Jump on both sides of the bandwagon. Yes, several major coffee growing regions, particularly Brazil and Vietnam, have experienced droughts and extreme weather over the past year, which are contributing to crop losses and increased coffee prices. Now, why didn't Google tell me that initially? Why not? Why wouldn't it have just been honest with me and say, well, you know, the real reason why coffee's gone up so much is because of severe drought, extreme weather, entire crop losses. Why not? Why wouldn't it have just told me that? As drought strains Brazil's coffee crop, prices surge, but solutions exist though. Water scarcity, okay. We're in crisis for coffee farmers. Coffee futures have soared nearly 20% in recent months. A direct response, I know it's small, I'm sorry. All right, a direct response to dwindling yields in Brazil's primary coffee producing states of Minas Gerais, and Sao Paulo. I know how to say Sao Paulo. One of my ex-girlfriends is from Sao Paulo. And analysts warn that the full economic impact is still unfolding, but already retailers and cafes worldwide are bracing for higher costs and potential shortages. Yeah, the primary reason from what I've heard and what I seem to be observing here is not because of Trump's tariffs, at least not yet. If that's true, if Trump really implemented a 50% tariff on coffee, where did I see that? I saw that somewhere. Maybe it was on the last page. Yeah, it's... No. Actually, I probably clicked out of it. Well, anyway, it said 50% tariffs on coffee. And if that's really the case, then yeah, it might actually go up. But it's really hard to believe everything that Google says because they tend to omit certain details. Anyway, whatever. Let's go on to the next thing here. I actually got a whole bunch to get through, but I may not even get through all of them. I'm just sitting here, just hanging out, just kind of letting the minutes just fall off the clock because I got nothing else better to do. I don't watch sports. I don't play video games. I don't watch TV. Don't really care for all that. And I'm not really in the mood to really do much because it's hot in here. Congresswoman Susie Lieu, Las Vegas already has one of the worst unemployment rates in the country right now, thanks to declining tourism, chaotic tariffs, oh my God, the tariffs, and severe cuts to our growing clean energy industry. We're losing jobs. And recently released data shows this problem could get worse before it gets better. It's going to be a bumpy road ahead for Southern Nevada. Well, a big reason why, maybe because people are just sick of getting swindled by casinos. Maybe that's a reason. Or maybe because we have record credit card debt. We have record buy now, pay later debt. We have record student loan debt, car loan debt, mortgage debt. I mean, what else is there? I'm sure there's other ones that I'm missing. Probably home equity loans and shit like that. Like, people owe money to everybody. So that could possibly be a reason why lots of people aren't going to Las Vegas these days, because they just have no money left. People are tapped out, man. They've been tapped out for years at this point, at least a few years. Now, I guess I could ask. How? Try to keep it short. Sometimes Grok goes on a really long tangent, which is fine if you're looking to research something. No data directly ties Trump's tariffs to Las Vegas economy and the provided information. General economic impact suggests tariffs could raise costs for goods and services, but we already know that. I know Democrats, they're trying to just drill that into you with every ounce of their being, with every fiber of their might. They're really trying to get that through, that Trump's tariffs are just going to ruin you financially. Everything's going to skyrocket. Yeah, we know. We know that. If you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. We got to get manufacturing back. That's one of the big reasons for the tariffs. And also because of fairness. Because all these other countries have been tariffing the shit out of us for 30, 40, 50 years. Now it's about time that they pay their own fair share. Plus, we got $37 trillion in the national deficit to deal with. That's kind of a problem when we have to spend $940 billion every single year just paying the interest on that debt. That's just the interest. That actually reminds me. Let me ask Google something real quick. All right, hold on. Let me see. How many tax-paying Americans? All right, I'm going to write that down. 161 million. And give me an easy answer. Corporate income taxes accounted for 11% of total federal revenue. Hold on. Oh shit, I didn't mean to click on that. What percentage? Is it still 11? Okay. That actually surprises me. All right. Well, that's almost, for what I was looking to do, that's really not a whole lot. But let's see how much money it cost every tax-paying American for the national deficit's interest. So we've got $940 billion, and that's per year, by the way. That's not in total. That's how much we have to pay annually. That's $5,838 per American taxpayer that we have to pay toward just interest on the debt. The national debt. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I fucked that up big, didn't I? Or no, maybe I didn't. Hold on, let me just 100,000 million billion. Okay. Whoops. There. Yeah, okay, that's right. $5,838 per year. That's the amount of money that every single American taxpayer has to pay toward the national deficit annually. 940 billion. And I'll ask Google just to make sure. I should have just said last year. Oh, I'm sorry. 880 billion. Oh, okay. All right. I guess I was off. I'm going to have to memorize that because I heard somewhere else. Of course, it is Google after all. All right. 880 billion divided by 161 million American taxpayers. That's still $5,465 per year. Just interest on the debt. And of course, the debt is increasing more and more. See, look at this, with projections indicating costs could exceed $1 trillion in 2025. So, in case you didn't know, the national deficit, it's like a credit card balance. And there's interest to be paid on that balance each year. Right now, the minimum interest that we have to pay is $880 billion per year, every year. And that boils down, again, to about $5,500 for every single tax-paying American. Because I don't want to count every single American because not everybody's paying taxes. So they're not paying toward the national deficit because they're not working or they're not paying taxes or whatever. So, but see, this may not be like the most fair number out there because I get it. There's capital gains tax. So there's like many different ways that the government collects taxes. It's not just payroll tax. I get it. I'm just saying, like, when you divide, you know, the total amount of money that's owed, and if you divvy it up per American on average, even on average, and I get that, you know, I'm not paying $5,500 toward the national deficit. I know I'm not, and many of us are not. We're not paying that amount, but I'm just saying when you spread it across every single tax-paying American, that's the number it comes to. And either way, that is a fucking shocking number. And every year the national deficit gets higher and higher. And as Google says, it could exceed $1 trillion by 2025. That's probably hitting like over $6,000 for every tax-paying American. That's a kind of a horrifying sight. It's not good. It's not good at all. Anyway, why the hell did I get into the national deficit? I don't know. I tied it in there somehow, but I kind of lost I lost the direction I was taking that. But yeah, chaotic tariffs, yeah, whatever. Severe cuts, growing clean energy industry. Yeah, that's actually a good thing because come to find out that if you use strictly renewables, which you do have to back up with battery power, because again, wind and solar can't be running 24/7. That's just simple common sense. Can't get the sun to shine 24 hours a day. So you got to have backup. Of course, knowing the Democrats, they would say, well, just like don't use your air conditioning at night. Just like turn off your lights when the sun goes down. That's what it would really end up boiling down to. They're going to charge you like 10 times the hourly rate for electricity as soon as the sun goes down, because now they have to, you know, pull from battery power. So in other words, entire neighborhoods and large swaths of these cities that are all green energy now are going to go completely dark because they have to conserve their energy, because their electric bill is going to skyrocket if they don't. That's how they're going to spin it. They're like, well, as long as you obey the rules, your electricity will be cheaper than standard electricity. As long as you run your electricity from like 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and then again from like 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. As long as you only use electricity during those times, then your electric bill will definitely be cheaper than nuclear or hydroelectric. All right, Rep. Ted Lieu, covering up the Epstein files, giving tax breaks for yachts, trying to rewrite January 6th. That's what Republicans are up to. Not lowering costs, not prioritizing public health, not focused on you. I don't know about the whole yachts thing. I'm not familiar with that. But look, I'm pretty sure that one big beautiful bill, I think it gave tax cuts to just about everything, didn't it? All kinds of entities got tax cuts. I'm sure even he got a tax cut on something somehow. Not lowering costs, covering up Epstein files. Yeah, I don't like the fact that they're doing that. I've already been pretty vocal about that. They just released the damn files. If there's even any to release. There's probably not even any to release. I'm not sure if I actually commented on this or not. Probably not. Nah, I don't think I did. He's distracting from the real issue. Democrats' child trafficking they're trying to hide. Yeah. Really have nothing, Ted. Why don't you just enjoy the weekend? Yeah, just like all these other Democrats. If you look at Democrats posting shit, 99% of what they post is just negative in any way, shape, or form. They never have an actual good, positive, you know, happy the sun rose, the glass is half full kind of day. It's always just something to be pissed off about. Because that's the left. They're fucking miserable. They're absolutely miserable from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. Senator Jeff Merkley, Senator Wyden, and Rep. Dexter of Oregon and I have a message for Trump and MAGA extremists trying to end vote by mail. Hell no. Oh my God. Well, how are we going to get our dead folks to vote? We can't get dead people to vote if we can't do vote by mail. We can't blanket ballot all over the place and get people to ballot harvest. Being Oregon, say like Oregon has like, I don't even know what the population of Oregon is. Like, let's say it's like 10 million people, but somehow 11.5 million people in Oregon voted last year. That's really kind of a coincidence. But no, we're not going to look at all that. Don't look over there. Don't look over at all that shit. Just look at the fact that we won. Game over. The end. The ballot counting centers, let's just put brown paper over the windows so nobody can see what's going on in here. And our candidate is totally going to win as long as we do vote by mail. They don't have a good reason. Actually, that's actually a good, if I didn't leave a comment already, that's actually a good comment. Like, give me a reason. Not that anybody's going to reply to this. I mean, come on. No, whatever. Anyway, Senator Peter Welch. President Trump has made it clear where his loyalties lie, and it's not with working families. This is money out of your pocket and into the coffers of airline CEOs. All right, well then, don't fly. You got a problem with it, then quit flying. Don't travel. You know, go on a road trip with your EV. I mean, you shouldn't be flying anyway. Isn't that bad for the environment? Isn't that contributing to climate change? So why are you, not arguing for that? Arguing for just, really stick it to the airline CEOs and just boycott traveling by air. Well, of course they won't, because Democrats, they love traveling by air. We have to do it because we're important and you're just like a little mouth. You're just like a little ant. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm not supposed to say that out loud. Well, you're just hardworking, everyday Americans, and you have to go to your job Monday through Friday. Leave all the traveling up to me. It's so tough traveling. First class is just so daunting. Rep. John Larson, ending health guidelines for kids, comparing vaccines to slavery, letting anti-vax extremists call the shots. Well, dude, vaccines, it's my body, my choice. Oh, that's right. That's what he means by that. No, you're just pro-slavery. RFK Jr. and his conspiracy theorists are out of control. They're putting us in danger. POTUS, end these games before we face another deadly pandemic on your watch. Dude, we're already in a pandemic. It's called 76.4% of all American children have a chronic illness or disease. I'm not sure which way he worded it. Chronic disease. 76.4% of all American children have a chronic disease, which means roughly 80% of children, when they become military age, they can't join the military. They can't because they have a chronic illness. Yeah, let that sink in. So to him, I would say we already have a pandemic on our hands, and it's called the CDC. It's called probably the NIH. It's called the establishment running the show, which is kind of amazing because the federal government took control over the way we handle medicine and disease control, much like the way that they did the same with the Department of Education. They federalized education, and what happened to our education system? I'm sure it was among the top in the world during the early mid 20th century, maybe even going back to the 19th century. I don't know. I don't know about 19th century. But yeah, our education system was stellar until the federal Department of Education stepped in, and now we're 20 on the list, number 25 on the list of developed countries in terms of our education. It's gone straight to shit. But of course, we all know that. Parents deserve a CDC they can trust to put children above politics, evidence above ideology, and facts above fear. I was fired for holding that line, writes Susan Maneras. I mean, isn't that what they're doing? They're politicizing the CDC. That's what they're doing. RFK Jr. wants to purge all of these people out of the CDC because he's got the facts, the data, and the statistics to back it up. Just that one data point that I mentioned about children, and the overwhelming majority of American children have some sort of a chronic issue going on. That should be enough to completely purge the CDC. And matter of fact, I think it should just be shut down completely because obviously it ain't working. It's not working at all. Especially those artificial food dyes, ultra processed food, the ridiculous food pyramid. It's not good. It's pretty bad. Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. Reason number 2. Oh, wait. Yeah, he did. Let me see if I can find reason number 1. Here we go. Let's see. Secretary Kennedy asked me how he is a threat to our health. Well, here's one reason. He has gutted the CDC. Yeah, because they're fucking corrupt, dude. And again, 76% of children's chronic illness, or children with chronic illness, making it more likely that Americans die from preventable disease. Okay, so we fire a few people in the CDC, and that means that large swaths of the American population is just going to die from disease. Because that makes total sense, dude. It's because it's not like our primary doctors exist. It's not like that Americans could go see their own doctor if the CDC is gutted. The fuck are you talking about, dude? I will post one reason he is a threat to our health each day for the next 2 weeks. He asked, and I'll answer. So here's his reason. His reckless gutting of NIH has led people to be kicked off experimental cancer research treatments, leaving cancer patients without care and setting us back in our battle to find cures. Well, dude, I see a reason. I see a sentence, but I don't see an article. I don't see any .gov link. I don't see anything. Like you're literally telling us nothing. You're backing this up with nothing. Nothing whatsoever. How many days did he say? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Ain't happening. I heard a Maha woman complain that most of the vaccines for babies were for diseases she'd never even heard of. Yeah, do you know why you've never heard of them? Because they haven't had them. Ask why. Now, I know, I get it. I get what they're saying. Well, because you don't get them because you got vaccinated. Duh. Or you never heard of them because you never got it. You never got the disease in the first place. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what my nephew's effing problem is. Name people. Don't just make wild ass allegations. Back it up. That's what I said. I have stage 4 lung cancer and asked this question of my doctor, who, by the way, is liberal. I was told what you are claiming is not happening. Interesting. Well, because it's not. He's got no data to back it up because it ain't happening. Experimental like what? Cannabis oil, apricot seeds? No, I didn't think so. You unalive anyone who figures out cancer cures that don't involve the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah, I tend to believe that. You have no proof. We know many funds were stolen and did not help anyone but filing corrupt pockets. Senator Ossoff and Rev Warnock say the quiet part out loud. Their constituencies are Big Pharma and criminal illegal aliens. Rev Warnock, Big Pharma number 2 recipient of 15 million. Senator Ossoff has received 1.5 million, and his wife works on the medical field at Emory Healthcare. Very interesting. All right, both Rev Warnock and Senator Ossoff were elected in 2021, unlike Sanders and Warner, who are legislative dinosaurs. All are multimillionaires since getting into office. That's quite interesting. Only been in office for a few years and they're already millionaires, huh? Rev Warnock and Senator Ossoff have personal reasons to sacrifice the health of Georgians and make them dependent upon the government with social welfare programs. Yeah. RFK Jr., we have the sickest country in the world. Big Pharma is the dark sickness in the society. Yeah, they are. All right, let's see what he's sharing here. Healthcare campaign contributions from 1990 to 2024. Elizabeth Warren, Ron Wyden, Bernie Sanders. Oh my God, look at that. Ain't that a bitch? Isn't that hilarious? Bernie Sanders talks about socialized medicine all the time. And I'm sure he's preaching Medicare for all the time and social programs. And of course he is, because He's getting enormous campaign contributions from pharmaceuticals. Look at this, almost $2 million. More than anybody else, more than any other senator. I'm assuming these are all senators, right? Bernie Sanders got the most. That is hilarious. Pharmaceutical manufacturing got the most out of that too. Yeah, he's a scumbag. Remember, folks, he honeymooned in the USSR because he's a fucking communist. I'm all about American rights and like hard work and kitchen table issues, Medicare for all, universal basic income, all nonsense. Congressman Gabe Amo, these people will literally do anything besides try to lower prices or release the full Epstein files. And he's responding to the grand opening of the Rose Garden Club, which happened last night. Sounds like somebody's a little ass hurt that they didn't get invited. That's what it sounds like to me, good sir. Are you mad that you didn't get to go? You want to be a part of history, the grand opening, because you know it's going to be written in the history books for centuries to come, and you couldn't be a part of that party? You couldn't be in the photographs that are just going to be contained by the National Archives and who knows what for many, many, many years to come. At least as long as the U.S. survives. I mean, of course, if Democrats get full control over the Supreme Court, could you imagine 9 left-leaning or 9 liberal Supreme Court justices? Could you imagine what that would do to the country? And let's say Democrats get a supermajority. And we're talking like woke Democrats. We're talking the squad, those types of Democrats. Imagine if they get a supermajority, the presidency, the whole 9 yards, they get absolute 100% control over the government. Do you think the United States as we know it will exist in 15 years, 20 years, even 100 years? I don't think the United States would exist at all in 100 years. I don't think so. It would probably be called, I don't know, like the Democratic Republic of the States. They'll get rid of the United States part. Or maybe the communist states, the People's Republic of States. Yeah, that's probably what it would, something like that. The People's Democracy of States. Anyway, Governor J.B. Pritzker, know your rights, Illinois. Stay safe and stay informed because ICE is descending on Chicago. They are rounding up the illegals. They're moving in. They've already set up shop and it's happening. So, of course, because Governor J.B. Pritzker, not shit he can do about it. So he is giving all of this information out, which I don't exactly disagree with. I do disagree with the fact that illegal immigrants have the same constitutional rights as anybody else. I don't exactly agree with that, but if that's what the Constitution says, I mean, that's what it says, if that's what it says. Anyway. So, remain calm. Do not run or make any sudden movement. Yeah, because ICE, like, if you move an inch, of course, they're just going to riddle you with bullets. Keep your hands where the agents can see them. Yeah, it's good advice. Probably shouldn't be digging in your pockets and running away. You have the right to deny entry without a valid warrant. You can ask the agents if they have a warrant. If they say they have a warrant, you can ask them to slide the warrant under the door or hold it against the window. Yeah, I have a feeling they're probably not going to be playing those games. But maybe they will. Maybe they will. They do have to act constitutionally. So I don't know what the protocol is with ICE. Like, if they know that a criminal, illegal alien is inside whatever property that they're standing in front of. If they're a criminal, I'm sure they already got a warrant. They're probably going to kick the door in or an order of removal. That would probably be the same as a warrant, wouldn't it? An order. Maybe not, though. Maybe it isn't the same thing. I mean, obviously, they're not the same thing. I'm just saying, like, do they hold the same weight? Like, can they kick in their front door if they have an order for removal? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. If the place isn't in his name, I could see where that could get a little murky. ICE agents can require you to let them in only if they have a valid warrant. To be valid, the warrant must have your correct name and address, a valid date, and the signature of a judge, which I'm sure they all do. This is the federal government we're talking about here. You have the right to remain silent. Yes, I would agree to that. You can say, I wish to exercise my right to remain silent. No, you don't. You don't have to say that at all. You can just not say anything. What the fuck's he talking about? You don't have to say a freaking word to him. You can refuse to provide any documents or information regarding where you were born, when, or how you arrived to the country. And that's good advice there. Do not lie. Definitely don't want to lie. But that's kind of pointless to even point that out in the first place if you're telling them to remain silent. You have the right to speak with an attorney. You can say, I wish to speak with an attorney. Or again, you could just not say anything. Because just the proper procedure would probably involve the opportunity to allow you to speak with an attorney. Unless you have an order for removal. I mean, if you have an order for removal, do you have the right to a lawyer? Let's ask Google. I'm sure you do, I would think. Yes, you have a right to a lawyer in removal deportation proceedings. Yeah, I was assuming. The government will not provide or pay for one. That might get problematic. If you're an illegal immigrant, you probably don't have that kind of money at your disposal, which there are a lot of left-wing activist organizations that probably have a large Rolodex of lawyers who would do pro bono work. So they may not have as much of a problem finding lawyers as you might think. And you have the right to not sign anything. Sample judicial warrant, sample administrative warrant. ICE cannot enter your home. It won't let me zoom in anymore, so I'm assuming these are in English. Even though I think that's a little bit humorous that he didn't attach anything in Spanish, but okay. Anyway, Michael Schellenberger, you're allowing foreign fentanyl dealers to murder mentally ill people on the sidewalks of downtown San Francisco. You allowed yourself to become numb to this. He's responding to Gavin Newsome. The President of the United States is deploying the military onto U.S. streets and using our troops like political pawns. Do not allow yourself to become numb to this. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. Uh-oh. And that was posted by Trump, by the way. Donald J. Trump. Yep, there you go. Shapocalypse now. Yeah, I'll get to that in a little bit. Democrats are getting really triggered because they're saying that he's committing stolen valor. Like, dude, you really think that's a real image, don't you? You actually think that's a real photograph of Trump, don't you? Yeah, they do. They actually just revealed something I didn't know about Democrats. Democrats, they cannot tell the difference between what's AI and what's real, which makes sense because they live in the Matrix. I mean, the Matrix as defined as their version of reality, and then the actual reality that we live in. So I guess I could play this. I didn't plan on playing it, but I suppose I could play it. It's definitely heartbreaking, I would say, that so many people are just living like zombies. And of course, these are all in the blue areas, deep blue cities. And I'm glad that he actually posted this. How much attention did this get? 3,700 likes. Good, man. Anyway, let's take a look at this. See what we got here.
Y'all gotta clean all this up? Bad, huh?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Is it hard to clean up?
Every day.
Every day.
Wow.
Look at
Trash everywhere. They don't care, and they're also just absolute zombies. This is downtown San Francisco, by the way. The most expensive city probably on the planet. Certainly in the US. And the taxpayers are paying for those cleanup crews. That might actually be the poop crew. They go around cleaning up human feces on the ground. I'm sure you've probably seen the poop app. You look up San Francisco poop app. It'll tell you in real time where human excrement is located in the city. The whole map is just covered in brown. Smoking drugs right there in the middle of the
hell
street.
Of a blast. What's that? Fentanyl?
They're not even talking. They're just so zonked out. And watch out, man, if they get dope sick. If they start fiending and they don't have money or they can't find anything, I'm sure they go fucking ballistic. It's no joke withdrawing from that shit. Gavin's California. Over $20 billion has been spent on homelessness in the last 5 years, which amounts to about $115,000 per homeless person. I don't think money exactly solves the problem. Am I crazy for saying that? It's probably like those opium dens from like back in the 1800s, but actually it's like 1,000 times worse, man. I doubt they were completely zombified. What's going on? Somebody fighting? Throwing up or something? Looked like that dude was taking a piss. And the cops do nothing. They do nothing, man. And they lay in the most weird-ass, awkward-ass positions. Just straight-up literal zombification. Wow, man. That is so fucked up. Absolutely fucked up. Insanely fucked up. I just lost my place. That's all right. Yeah, it happens. Anyway, did I go down too far? No. I'm good. I'm good. Moving on down. We got through that. There it is. All right, Rep. Marlin Stutzman. RFK wants 3 things. America to have healthier children. Poisons to be removed from the food we eat. To know the truth behind the COVID shutdowns and vaccine mandates. The senators who berated him this week are not looking out for the best interests of the American people. Amen to that, because they're not. If you watch that hearing, man, he was speaking from the heart. He's obviously quite passionate about the health of America. And whatever, my opinion, his political past is irrelevant. Look, if he wants to put American values first, Americans first, patriotism first, I don't care if you're a lifelong Democrat or not, as long as you snap the fuck out of the matrix and you start actually putting the morals and values of this country first and not your own self-interest or the interest of the leftist cult. I could see past your history. I mean, hell, Trump was a Democrat for the majority of his life, wasn't he? So from Ted Cruz, all of these protesters are white. At Grok, what is the percentage of African-American population in DC's highest crime neighborhoods? What does it tell you that the most likely victims of DC violent crime aren't marching in protest? So just now, protesters flood the streets of DC to protest President Trump's federal takeover. All right, let's check this out. Banging on the hippie drums. Very white. A lot of white people there. Remove the ones who don't live in DC. How many would you have left? Maybe, what, 17? And what's ironic is that these boneheads don't realize that Mayor Bowser, who's the mayor of Washington, D.C., has come out and praised President Trump's federal takeover of D.C. She's praised it. In fact, she signed an executive order stating that the D.C. Metro Police must fully cooperate with federal agents at all times, and she gave no expiration date for the executive order. It specifically said in the executive order, it had the word indefinitely in the executive order. So she's all about it, probably because she's getting lots and lots of calls from everyday people living in DC praising her for it. So yeah, these people, obviously they didn't get that memo. So from, hold on. Yeah, let's see what Grok said. I forgot. So at Grok, the percentage of African-American populations in DC's highest crime neighborhoods was to tell you that the most likely victims in DC violent crime aren't marching in protest. I know it's somewhere. I know that I replied to it, but here, let me just go to his profile. Maybe he actually posted it somewhere else. I thought it was supposed to be in the comments, but it would have been up there at the top. Here it is. Here we go. This is the reply. In DC's highest crime neighborhoods like Anacostia and Deanwood, African Americans make up 88 to 92% of the population per U.S. Census data. This suggests that those most affected by violent crime, disproportionately Black residents, may support federal interventions to reduce it, differing from the protesters' views. There you go. Oh yeah, there's some pushback. Isn't it true that residents in high crime areas often face economic hardship? That doesn't mean they should immediately turn to violent crime, dude. So, yeah, so there's that. All right, let me go back. Ask the DC mayor how she feels about Trump's federal takeover. While you're at it, remove those in the crowd who don't live in DC, and how many do you have left? A near empty street. Damn, I got some reposts for that one. That's cool. Didn't attend all that. That's kind of cool. All right, moving on. Senator Patty Murray, the president is casually suggesting he will go to war against an American city. Today it's Chicago. Tomorrow it might be Seattle. Oh no. It's not funny or amusing. I'll be fighting back in Congress, but remember, he wants you to think your voices and votes don't matter, but they do. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Telling you what though, people who live in Seattle, I bet the majority of them are okay with mass deportations. You're going to get a lot of the outspoken leftists, the activist types who are going to try to scream the loudest to make it sound like that they don't want illegal immigrants to go anywhere, but I bet most of them do because they don't want their taxpayers going to people who are not supposed to be here, but they are. Anyway, why isn't the DC mayor echoing your alarmism today? That's why you're freaking out. Exactly. She's freaking out because she doesn't want it to happen in Seattle because she knows how effective it's going to be and how happy people are going to be that crime all of a sudden just disappeared. Where's all the crime? Oh yeah, that's right. Federal agents are here. It's almost as if law enforcement actually works. Funny thing. Ted Cruz, what? Breaking. Shabana Mahmood has become the UK Home Secretary. She is in charge of immigration, visas, and borders. Here she is at a rally she's at a rally calling for a globalize the Antifada. What? The Antifada? RIP UK, man. Thank God that I'm born in America, man. Oh, with the friggin' UK, man. It's crazy.
Wait, I'm just here. It's Saturday afternoon, a peaceful protest outside of a Sainsbury's store here in central Birmingham. And it's 3:30 and the store has actually just shut as a result of the peaceful protest. That's about 4.5 hours worth of business that Sainsbury's is losing for supporting goods from the Israeli settlements which are illegal under international law. So we're calling on Sainsbury's and all other stores to trade settlement goods that they stop doing so that they do not support people who have broken international law. There's a huge response today just here in central Birmingham. It's incredible to see, and the passion here of all of the people campaigning is incredible to see.
All right. Okay. Yep, UK is cooked. What is it like the average woman or the average couple? I don't remember how they worded it. Either the average, no, I don't think it's the average woman in the UK. I think it's like the average couple. They're having like 1.3 or 1.4 children per couple, something like that. Like basically they're almost at the point of no return because when it falls below 1.3, it's more or less irreversible, at least for quite a lot of years. However, the Muslims who live in the UK, per married Muslim couple, they're having like 8 kids. It's like 8. So yeah, in about 40 years, and that's the case in France, it's the case in Germany. And I read somewhere that it's looking like in 40 years, the majority of the French population will be Muslim at this current rate because of the high number of children that they're having compared to French couples. And that essentially means that as soon as 40 years from now, France could become an Islamic republic. And the UK would not be far behind. But yeah, that's definitely looking like the future of Europe. It's looking like a very Muslim future, maybe a very Sharia future, which is hilarious because these liberal European white women are the ones that were screaming the loudest to let everybody in. They're just poor immigrants, and the gays for Palestine and LGBTQ everything. And they're ushering in, essentially, in the long term, Sharia law. Or at least it would seem. Like, man, you can't make that shit up. This is from Hakeem Jeffries. Donald Trump has declared war on American citizens in Chicago. Oh, another copy-paste post. House Republicans remain silent These MAGA extremists are sick people who are completely unfit to govern. Dude, I don't think House Republicans are silent. I think they're cheering it on, man. As well as a lot of citizens in Chicago, because they don't want their tax dollars going to people who have no business being here. And they have been. I'm not sure which building. It was some recreational building, and it was a large building that they converted into a migrant shelter, and the locals who lived in that neighborhood were extremely pissed off about it. I remember seeing videos about that last winter when they were talking about that. They were like, no, we don't want them in our neighborhood. We don't want them taking our jobs and shit like that. They don't. They do not. He declared war on illegal immigrants and American criminals. Of course, you already knew that, and so did the people, but nice try, though. Yeah, because he didn't declare war on American citizens. He declared war on the illegals. Take off that cavalry hat, you draft dodger. Tammy Duckworth, you didn't earn the right to wear it. Stolen valor at its worst. Like I said, she actually believes that's a real picture. But she probably doesn't. However, she assumes that anybody who reads this who votes Democrat, they're going to believe that's a real picture. That's what they're counting on. They're counting on their voters, their constituency, to be extremely low IQ. That's what they want. That's what they desperately need. That's AI, you goofballs. If you wonder why mainstream comedy is dead, the left murdered it long ago. And they did. They did. And a lot of those liberal comedians who were very edgy once upon a time, back when comedians could say whatever, even if it was pushing into like racist sounding territory or making fun of certain groups of people that, oh my God, you can't make fun of them today because you'll get crucified for it. You'll get canceled and your bank accounts will get shut down and all that shit. Those people who were getting away with all that back in the day and everybody was laughing at them because it was legitimately funny. Those comedians today, they're trying to pull the ladder up right beneath them, or right in front of them. They're trying to yank up the ladder so no other up-and-coming comedians can have a shot at being as funny as they once were when they were allowed to say really whatever the hell they wanted to say with very little consequence, because that's just one nice thing about comedians. They can push the envelope. They can get it really edgy because American society historically has allowed them to get away with it in the name of being funny. All right, from Rep. Kim Schrier, MD. I toured Swedish. Where is this? The Puget Sound region since the first Providence Hospital opened in Seattle in 1877 and the first Swedish hospital opened in 1910. And Issaquah County, or in Issaquah. I'm probably saying that wrong, but whatever. I'm not from Washington. I've never been there. Recently to view their labor and delivery, NICU, and postpartum departments and discuss how to continue advocating at the national level for increased access to children's health care. Well, I think what should happen with regard to increased access, I think they should really get down the costs of healthcare, and they should try to figure out a way how they can limit the amount of money that our healthcare industry can charge for basic goods and services, even surgical goods and services, surgical tools, procedures, images, all that stuff. It shouldn't cost $8,000 to get a CT scan. It shouldn't cost $800 to get a fucking IV when you're in the hospital. But that's what they're charging hundreds of dollars for something that probably costs less than $10 to produce in a factory setting. That's what they should be trying to tackle, not trying to increase, because that just essentially translates to dumping more of your tax money into the healthcare system. That's not what they should be doing. They should be trying to figure out a way to get it down, the cost of all of that shit. From Rep. Brad Schneider, it's hard to find the proper words to convey the absurdity, but also the peril of the President of the United States cosplaying and making violent threats against the third most populous city in the country. Some thoughts. It's all about the illegal immigrants, dude. Of course they know that. They're just being disingenuous. And why? Well, because they're Democrats. That's why. First is the irony of the allusion to the Vietnam War movie, Apocalypse Now. Oh my God, dude, you really actually have to go that far as to say it. This is how stupid they really think that their voters are. They actually believe they're really that retarded. Second, the image of Cadet Bone Spurs dressed as a soldier. Can anyone say stolen valor? God, these people are stupid. Third, the president apparently does not realize Apocalypse Now is about the evils of war, not a celebration of violence. Oh my God, dude. They're incapable of being funny. It's gotten to the point where they just cannot understand what comedy is anymore. They can't, because nothing can be offensive anymore. If it's even mildly offensive, oh my God, you can't say that. That's why movies aren't funny anymore. That's why comedy is largely dead now. Even on television, like the late night TV shows, they're unfunny. Nothing is funny anymore because they had to get rid of it because God forbid they offend somebody. A good example that I can look to, just look back to movies during the 2000s. Look up all the comedy movies that existed in the 2000s. There's insane numbers of them, like Grandma's Boy and Anchorman and hold on, Old School. Talladega Nights. A lot of Jim Carrey movies, I'm sure, were back then. Super Troopers, man. Hell yeah. Super Troopers was hilarious. Here, let's try to full screen this. Will that make it any bigger? Nah. Wedding Crashers. It was okay. Scary Movie was freaking hilarious. That came out in 2000. I'm sure of that. Yep, 2000. Road Trip was funny. Role Models was okay. I thought that was funny. Super Bad, dude. Super Bad was fucking hilarious, man. That was one of my favorite comedies from the 2000s. Didn't see Accepted. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle is another good one. Idiocracy, Dodgeball was good. Euro Trip, I laughed in it. A lot of people didn't like it, but it was all right. Old School, there's Old School. Knocked Up was pretty good. Pineapple Express was hilarious. Dude, Where's My Car was slapstick, but really funny. There's Grandma's Boy. Beer Fest, it was okay. Wasn't a big fan of it, but same with Shaun of the Dead. I wasn't a big fan. I'm not really big into British comedy, but still, it was wildly popular and hilarious from most people's perspectives, those who saw it. The Hangover was great. Talladega Nights. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Hot Fuzz. Tropic Thunder. Semi-Pro. Burn After Reading. Step Brothers. How High. I forgot about How High. Employee of the Month. That was another one. Van Wilder. That was hilarious. Waiting. That's another one that he did. Napoleon Dynamite. Juno. The 40-Year-Old Virgin, man. That movie was fucking hilarious. Borat was hilarious. Longest Yard. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of Adam Sandler movies that probably came out in the 2000s too. Meet the Parents and Zoolander. I don't know about Smiley Face, never heard of it. Click. I wasn't a big fan of Click. Without a Paddle, that was another really good one. Dude, so many. I think the first Austin Powers came out in the 90s though. Bruce Almighty is another one. Big Fish, I don't think I saw that one. Idiocracy. But dude, so many. There's so many. There's Harold and Kumar. Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Zombieland, man. Zombieland was another good one. Wild Hogs, that one was actually kind of funny. That was a bit underrated. Tropic Thunder was good. Snatch was great, but Snatch wasn't from the 90s, was it? Oh, or 2000s it was. It was in 2000. Yeah, Snatch was another good one. So, how about this, though? Comedy movies from the 2020s. Let's see if we've heard of any of these. I guarantee you I haven't. The Thursday Murder Club, Adulthood, Friendship, The Pickup, Bad Trip, Palm Springs, My Old Ass, Don't Look Up. I saw Don't Look Up. It was all right. I've always been a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan, so that's probably the main reason why I somewhat enjoyed it. Licorice Pizza, Oh Hi, Heads of State. I mean, dude, even these titles aren't even funny. Mountainhead, and I'm sure, and like they don't really, I don't know, whatever. Bottoms, Joyride. I've not heard of any of these except for Don't Look Up, and I didn't even know that Borat came out with a new one. I had no idea. Amazon Prime. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Triangle of Sadness. Massive Talent. You're Cordially Invited. I think I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it. A Real Pain. Everything. I mean, I don't know. Now, obviously, I'm biased in this situation because I haven't watched hardly any comedies that were produced after 2020 because frankly, I didn't think any really existed. But according to this, there are some that exist. Yeah. I don't know, man. Leave a comment, I guess. If you've seen a bunch of comedies after 2020, how do you think they compare with comedies from the 2000s? My opinion, it's completely night and day. Because on the left, or the liberals in the 2000s, they were okay with pretty much any kind of form of comedy. If it made you laugh, it's acceptable. The Barbie movie, I actually went and see that in theaters because my daughter wanted to see it, so we went and saw it. I actually I got somewhat festive with it too because I've got like, I think I have 10 different LED systems built or that I have installed in my car. So I've got LEDs all over the place. Of course, you can change all the colors with your phone and all that. So I made my car completely bright ass pink when we went to the movie. Whatever, man. We had a good time. But yeah, the movie was pretty woke. But somehow, to some extent, I will admit, to some extent, it actually kind of worked. Because Ken took over Barbie Land or whatever. And they definitely had certain woke buzzwords and catchphrases and whatnot in the movie. But it wasn't the worst movie ever made. Ryan Gosling, he could be pretty funny. Not sure about any movies he's done aside from that. But yeah, I would say he's up there as one of my more favorite actors. Blade Runner 2049, man, was fucking incredible. That was one of the rare ones that Hollywood came out with from the mid 2010s and onward that was actually really good. The left camp meme, is that the source of the anger? Because if you offend one single person on the left, you get crucified. Most Chicagoans didn't want their tax money going to illegal immigrants, and they want them gone. Just the simple reality. Yeah, they do. All right. Young Kim. Images of Xi, Putin, and Kim Jong-un in lockstep should chill every freedom-loving person to the bone. The unholy alliance is growing more united by the day. We cannot let our guard down. And in my comment, I mentioned Brazil and India because it seems like Brazil and India are leaning more toward this alliance than with the West, the Western allies. And India, they got numbers. It's the most populated country on the planet now. And Brazil, kind of a bummer that Brazil is not fully on our side, just for the simple fact that it's in the Western Hemisphere. All right. And then Rep Pramila Jayapal. Good. The COVID vaccine is safe and effective, yet RFK Jr. and Trump are pushing anti-science conspiracy theories. Oh yeah, please do tell. I'm sure she's definitely going to give us examples. She's going to cite her sources, right? Glad to see my state stepping up and keeping our residents healthy. Well, safe and effective. Yeah, anti-science. Seattle Times. I don't know. I suppose I could link that if you're really interested in looking into it, but let me just open this up here. RFK said during the hearing this week, the COVID vaccine will continue to be available to nearly everyone for free. Nice lazy propaganda, though. And no sources, once again. Although she did drop this from Seattle Times, I guess. To be fair, she did actually link an article. So, are you going to let me read the article? Please let me read it. Looks like we're in business. People in Washington 6 months and older can now receive an updated COVID-19 vaccine from pharmacies and medical clinics without a prescription under a new standing order signed by the state health officer. Some people, yeah, maybe if you've got diabetes, you're morbidly obese, if you've got underlying conditions, maybe in the way that the flu vaccine may help you in some way or another. I mean, I'm not going to 100% argue completely against getting a COVID vaccine no matter what, because I'm no health expert. And there might be a few people out there where it actually would benefit, I suppose, if they were to get COVID, even though isn't COVID, hasn't it mutated to the point where it's pretty much asymptomatic at this point? Isn't that how it was working? The alpha or the first generation COVID was the most deadly form of it, and then it mutated into Delta. And once it mutated into Delta, it was something like 50 times more contagious, but it was like 10 times less damaging to your health, to your immune system. And then when Omicron came out, it was like 75 times more contagious than Delta. But 70% of people who got Omicron had no symptoms whatsoever. Because every time it mutates, it gets a lot more contagious, but it becomes a lot less effective. So it's trading one for the other. I'm assuming that's just how nature just has to function. It has to trade one thing to gain something else as far as the viruses are concerned. So I would assume that COVID by this time, I'm sure it's probably extremely contagious, but I mean, hell, at this point, I've probably had COVID like 6 times and didn't even know that I even freaking had it. The order affirms the state's position on the importance of the vaccine in reducing severe illnesses and deaths from the respiratory disease and pushes back against federal regulators' decision last week to approve the updated shots for just some people, including those over 65. I mean, they're making it sound like that it's banned. Like if you don't qualify for a COVID vaccine, you're just not allowed to have one. Like RFK Jr. said, he said most people are still going to be able to get it for free. And if you just so happen to not qualify to get a free vaccine, most likely because you're making a decent income or whatever the reasons might be, you can still get one. And it's probably not going to cost you a fortune either. Well, on the other hand, maybe it will because Big Pharma is Big Pharma. So yeah, maybe they will charge you like $5,000 for a COVID vaccine if you don't qualify for the free version. I would be of no surprise. Although realistically, it's probably no more than like, what, $100 or something. So the vaccines are well researched, well tested, and have saved millions of lives, State Health Officer Dr. Tao Sheng Quan Get said in a Friday statement. But the problem, though, is that the COVID vaccine isn't a vaccine. It's a therapeutic. It's not a vaccine. A vaccine prevents you from getting it in the first place. And the first round of the vaccines, the second round, all the boosters, up until pretty much everybody just stopped paying attention to COVID altogether, those weren't vaccines. They were therapeutics. Because if you got the COVID vaccine, especially the first round, which was actually Trump's vaccine, Operation Warp Speed, if you got that, you were still going to get COVID. But all the health experts were like, oh, no, it's a vaccine. You know, you're totally not going to get COVID. And then a few weeks later, Anthony Fauci comes out and says, well, yeah, so here's the thing. You will get the vaccine, but if you get the vaccine and you're still going to get COVID if you get the vaccine. I'm sure he worded it in a much more clever kind of way. But whether if you got the vaccine or not is irrelevant with regard to getting COVID. Just because you got the first round of COVID vaccines, that didn't make you all good and immune from getting COVID. You're still going to get it, except the symptoms that you got were lessened than if you didn't get the vaccine. That's what they were peddling. They were saying, well, if you get the therapeutic, vaccine, then your symptoms won't be as bad than if you just didn't get it in the first place. I don't know, man. It's hard to believe what the hell most of the time. I mean, they were all over the place with everything. You know, cloth masks totally work. And then, oh no, I guess they actually don't really work, but you should wear them anyway. And they work better when you double mask, and just all this bullshit propaganda that they were peddling for years, man. It was such a ridiculous fucking time in our lives. State Department of Health announced the news 2 days after Washington teamed up with Oregon and California to create a new West Coast Health Alliance. The group, which now also includes Hawaii, pledged to issue its own recommendations around COVID shots that follows the guidance of professional medical associations rather than federal agency decisions. So basically follow the cult, don't follow the status quo, which state leaders worry have become compromised and not based in science. It's only because it's Trump who's in charge right now. So the federal agencies, they're all corrupt now. But as soon as another card-carrying Democrat becomes president, oh, now they're all preaching the gospel truth now. That's how partisan we've gotten. And it's not who's president with regard to my trust or lack thereof in federal agencies these days. It's where these people are graduating from and what they're learning in addition to the science that they're supposed to be focusing on. They're also just learning how to become an obedient little leftist cult member. And even if the science seems to steer you into this direction, no, you should err on the side of climate change, err on the side of depopulation. You know, you got to put a filter when you're studying science these days. And that's the problem that I have. All right, move on to the next thing. From Rand Paul. Here we go. Thanks for the advice. I guess you haven't heard. I wrote a formal criminal referral to Biden DOJ and Trump DOJ to prosecute Fauci. But of course, I am not the DOJ, so I do not bring charges. I do, however, have new information on his criminal activities that I have discovered. This is not over. Uh-oh. Sneak peek preview. I mean, why is he just going to hang on to it? Just let us know. Come on, Rand Paul. True news on X. At Rand Paul, good luck selling your new book, Deception. If it really is a good book, the evidence you gathered should be enough for you to refer Anthony Fauci to the FBI Director, Kash Patel, and FBI Deputy Director, Dan Bongino. Great job, Senator. We'll see. Maybe that's why he's not going to give it to us. We have to buy his book. Well, if that's the case, dude, I'm 100% against that. You shouldn't be releasing evidence or knowledge to the American people in the form of a book that you're profiting off of, because you're supposed to be serving the American people, Senator Rand Paul. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You shouldn't be profiting off of them. So if that's really what's going on there, I don't agree with that at all, dude. Just come out with it. The White House, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. NASA says America will win the second space race against China. We already won the space race. Why are we having a second space race? We already won. Even if China were to beat us to it, we would still say, yeah, okay, you got to the moon, but guess what, dude? You're like 60 years too late. We already landed on the moon. We landed on the moon, well, not 60 years ago, but what is that, 56 years ago. Already done did it. Unless they're kind of giving us a little tiny clue that maybe we didn't actually go to the moon. Maybe that's not really the moon. It might actually be a stage or a studio of some sort. I'm sure we did. And I've already heard all the conspiracies with this, that, and the other. How you can take this picture and you can measure the shadow of this and the shadow of that, and like the American flag's their shadow of that. And when you draw the lines for the shadows, like it seems to suggest that it's not the sun, but it's actually a light source like 300 yards away or something, because each angle is slightly different. I've seen all that. And of course, the wires that are on the astronauts that are bouncing. And apparently, NASA, they're supposed to have a plaque up there on the moon that you can shine a laser on and it bounces back to the Earth. And that's supposed to prove that astronauts were there. Even though they probably could have just brought something up there on remote, like a Mars rover kind of deal, where they just drop it. But nah, I believe it. We went to the moon. I'm sure we did. I totally believe it. But anyway, that's all I got. That is all I got for today. Where are my lists? So I was going through my members of Congress, my Congress members. I got to finish this list. I only have 425 on this list. It needs to be 535. That's what it needs to be. I got some that are missing. But I've been working on it for a while. I got it up to 425. I mean, that took forever. So yeah, these are all just within the last minutes. 8 seconds ago. Proud to participate in the Norwood Hospital. Finished the job rally in support of completing construction and reopening Norwood Hospital. Sincere thanks to rally organizers, so on and so forth. Just some local thing going on. Save the hospital. I don't see any like "We hate Trump" signs. That's a surprise. It was 3 hours ago. DeCarlos Brown Jr., a dangerous career criminal, should have been behind bars years ago, but my opponent Roy Cooper's Lieutenant 2020 executive order kept him on the streets, endangering communities. In June 2020, Cooper signed a soft-on-crime executive order, and just 3 months later, Brown was released from prison. Since then, Brown has been arrested and released 3 more times between 21 and 25, taking full advantage of Cooper's weak policies. Cooper bears direct responsibility for this heinous act and must answer to the public about why he prioritizes criminals over public safety. All right. I don't know what he's talking about, but it certainly doesn't sound good. Certainly sounds like a Democrat who's softening those policies. Let me just take a look here. What's kind of trending in today's news? Vance defends lethal U.S. strike on Venezuelan drug vessel. Well, yeah, of course he does. Obviously, it's a slow day in the news. Woman snatches home run ball from Phillies fan, but heroes save the day. Wow. I saw something recently. Which sport was that? There was a sport. Oh, tennis. I think it was tennis. There was a tennis player. I don't follow tennis. I don't watch any sports at all, but I think some tennis player like tossed a tennis ball up to a kid, and some asshole dude in like his 40s or some shit, he snatches the ball out of the kid's hand and like walks away with it. Like, what a piece of shit. And that dude went crazy viral, as he should have. being publicly crucified for what he did, because he came out and apologized. I'm sure it was a loaded apology. But usually when something like that happens, like this, like usually like the entire team will sign a ball for him. They'll invite him to like some training, or you know what I mean? Like they'll actually just shower him with like the most amazing day ever as far as the Phillies go. Or in the case of that tennis player, he probably like invited him to like a luncheon or something where he can like actually have like an actual conversation with his athlete / idol. So hopefully that's basically what happened. Hero saved the day. A father retrieved a home run ball hit by Harrison Bader for his young son Lincoln, only for a woman to aggressively demand and take it, sparking a viral confrontation. I'm a strong and independent woman. I deserve that, not you, Mr. Evil White Man, with your mansplaining and your manspreading. Dubbed Philly's Karen. Philly's Karen, I love it. Her actions ignited online debates about entitlement, of course. But stadium staff and Bader stepped in, gifting Lincoln memorabilia and a signed bat, turning the ordeal into a heartwarming tale of sportsmanship. Hilarious, man. They should ban her ass for life. That's what they should do. Maybe that's too harsh. Maybe just for the season. Which, of course, if it were flipped, if this evil white man just snatched the ball away from some poor innocent woman's hands after she caught it, of course he would get banned for life now, wouldn't he? Of course he would. You don't even have to question that. Of course he would. But there's no accountability with a lot of modern women these days. No accountability. And they wonder why chivalry's just not happening with them anymore. Well, because you don't give us a reason to be chivalrous anymore. There's no honor in women anymore. Or, no, maybe honor's not the right word. Virtue. Maybe that's a good way to put it. Yeah, virtue among women today is like completely dead. Man, no, that's too harsh. There are a lot of women out there. I'm not going to throw flack at all women. There are a lot of women out there that are, decent human beings and good human beings. Nice women who have been married for 10, 15 years, got a big family, still loves her husband dearly. She's not going to join the ranks of the 80% of divorces that are filed by women unless they're college educated. If they're college educated, it goes up to 90% of divorces that are initiated by the woman. Anyway, the Phillies Karen was captured on camera getting in another man's face for heckling her after she demanded the home run ball from child. Yeah, she is the Phillies Karen. The woman marched over to a man in an Eagles jersey and got in his face before she appeared to flip off the entire section, completely unhinged. Gee, I wonder if she votes and who she might be voting for. I really wonder. Check this out. Although I'd like to see the original one first, but I already got this one in front of me, so. Yeah, that's, wait.
Yeah, you tell it! Woo! Oh, shit!
Okay, there she is. I was like, where the fuck is she?
She took it from the little kid, bro.
Oh, she's got the blonde hair and everything.
Shit! Get it, kid! Yeah!
Oh my god, dude, this camera work is fucking nightmare.
Karen is ready.
Some dude up there's yelling at her. And she still has the ball at this point, right? Ha! She even has the Karen hairdo, the short hairdo. She's even rocking the Karen hair. 6 million views. Damn, dude. Yeah, you got Brick Suit commenting on it. Colin Rugg. Those are the only two so far that I find, or that I know of. Wow. Wow. I don't know why the fuck my computer's glitching out. I have no idea. I don't have anything running other than OBS, but that's never been a problem. I don't know, maybe it's the heat, because my room's like 85 degrees right now. Hot. All right, where was I? Yeah, I want to see that. I want to find that original video. Well, to be fair, I mean, it did like glitch for a split second, but that might have just been his camera work, his camera quality. All right, so that happened. Okay, here's the getting heckled by the entire section. Oh yeah, this must be it. I don't know. But it's only 3 seconds though. Oh wow, he like got he got like actually scared. Like he got jostled. Oh, this is the dude that sounds just like Trump. If you've never heard this guy, this dude sounds identical to Trump. Name is Sean Farash. Listen to this dude.
There was an old lady who lived in a shoe, and if you're a kid on your birthday, she'll steal a home run ball from you. And while many may believe this behavior is silly, it's actually quite common if you're a sports fan from Philly. The nasty old Karen wanted...
But he's not as good as he was. I haven't listened to him do his Trump voice probably in at least a year or two. He does not sound the same as he did a couple of years ago. Maybe it's Trump. Maybe Trump's voice has changed a bit as he's aging. He don't sound nearly as good as he did.
Baseball so bad, she ran through the whole stadium and berated the dad. And the dad gave
Maybe he's
up
got a
the
cold.
ball to the dismay of his boy. The Karen did what Karens do. She stole all the joy. Both teams and their fans saw her wreck all the fun. Everyone who witnessed it knew what must be done.
All right. But I mean, is that it? Is it just the weak men create hard times? Yeah. The way that he reacted was like, dude, what the fuck? I think Benny Johnson's absolutely right. It would have been like, fuck you, you're not taking my kid's ball. You out of your fucking mind, Karen? I caught it, you didn't. Fuck off. Just the fact that she touched him, he could have had her arrested for assault just by her putting her hand on his arm. But of course, in the big blue cities, they're like, well, she didn't injure you, so, you know, just be a big boy and just, like, don't file a report. I want to find the clip, man. Where the hell's the damn clip? Okay, maybe this is it. Oh, come on, man. Make it bigger. Fucking X, man. Frustrates me. The desktop version is just garbage. Not happy with it. All right, so what was this one? Maybe this is the initial one. Wait a minute. Hold on. I want to see that again. So they both went after it. Hey, man, that's how it goes. Yeah, she was closer. It was in her section. I get it. You know, I could see the reason why she might be a little triggered by it. However, that's the way baseball goes. Like, I know I don't watch sports, but I've been to plenty of baseball games. I actually do enjoy going to baseball games. I just don't care to watch it on TV. But that's how it goes, man. If it's whoever gets it first. That's it. I mean, whoever lays their hand on it first. Even if it bounces, if you grab it and it falls out of your hand and bounces behind you and somebody else gets it, it's still theirs. It doesn't belong to you because you touched it first. That's just not how it works. Oh my god, the dude got fucking scared. You see how he freaking jumped? Oh man, what a beta. Oh my god, dude. You know how hard it is to catch a freaking ball at a Phillies game? And at any game, at any baseball game. Maybe, just maybe, they might have season tickets. Maybe, see, we don't know the details. Maybe he's already caught like a dozen of these baseballs, and maybe he's just got a good collection already, and he really just doesn't give a shit either way. I don't know, though. I think he baited it out, though. I think he did. All right, this looks like another view. Oh my god, dude, I cannot believe he caved. You took it from me! You took it from me! Lady, I got it first. Fuck off. That's exactly what he should have said. Because look, the whole stadium was watching at that moment. If she slapped him or anything like that, she could have been arrested. Could have been arrested. And now this kid is like traumatized by a Karen. And which is funny because, like, unknowing to her, not that she gives a shit, but he's probably not going to be too fond of women moving forward. He just created a Karen hater. A boy who is probably not going to be the most chivalrous gentleman in society in the coming years, thanks to this Karen psychopath. All right, I've had enough of that. Texas blocks foreign adversaries from land ownership over security fears. All right. Anyway, it's Saturday night. Not much going on. I'm sure there's like probably a whole bunch of sports stuff going on. See anything? Yeah, Dodgers. I'm sure that has to do with sports. Billy Napier, I'm not familiar. Oh yeah, college sports, of course. That's why I'm not familiar. Underwood. Sports. Politics. Oh yeah, we already saw that post from Rampal. University of California, UCLA, sports. All right. Well, anyway, I'm done. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night. I might be back with another video. Probably not one like this. I was just making this video mainly out of boredom, and I came across a bunch of those Democrat posts, and I figured I would just make something out of it. All right. Until next time. See you later.